as well as YouTube world. This is Henry Kramer, 605 Chaser, and welcome to the show. If you have not subscribed already, make sure that you're getting on the subscriber list for TikTok. We're going to be coming up with some exclusive footage very, very soon. And I appreciate the one subscriber I've already got, but we're going to go through what the risks are today. We'll zoom out here a little bit and show you the risks. There it is from areas like New York down to Virginia Beach. We have the enhanced risk, or a 3 out of 5 for your severe weather. The slight risk is in the yellow. We got the marginal risk is in the darker shade of green. And look at this. We even have some Northern Plains fun. This is a very conditional risk that we have for the Northern Plains. Very conditional, but things really ramp up. And I'll show you some significant tornado parameter numbers that are just crazy, crazy numbers for areas of North Dakota. Hold on to your hats, folks. I may need to go live for a in the field chase for tomorrow. So if you love and enjoy in the field chasing, that is a possibility tomorrow if I can gather up enough funds. So please go ahead and make sure that you subscribe in the TikTok world, and we will get you that footage as quickly as we can. Is Chicago and the green areas of Chicago, you are in the light green, so that would be non-severe storms are expected for today. So, Connor, I appreciate you being here as well as all the others that are going to be viewing here. Let's go ahead and go through this information here and go through the weather models and timing. Areas of marginal risk is the darker shade of green, and then non-severe is the glowing lighter shade of green. Milwaukee, Grant Loves, welcome back. So for today, Milwaukee, you guys are in the marginal risk. Let's go ahead and go through some of the timing. I do want to show you first where the risks are for the tornado activity. That is up and down this line here from all the way into Maine down to areas of North Carolina. Tufts weather. Thanks for the Hartmees, Erie, PA. So we're going to take a look at the East Coast line first. Uh, JAH, Minneapolis, I'll get to that because your risk increases and it's very conditional for today. But you're less than 2% for Minneapolis tornado risk today. Things could change for tomorrow. So stick around, JH. And if you're not following, go ahead and do so. Let's go ahead and show you the weather models and the estimates of the timing on this based on HRRR. Again, we're going to go through the risks for today, and then we'll go through the risks for tomorrow once we get done with that. So please be sure to stick around here for that, and we'll get to the information as quickly as possible. Uh, I know Pennsylvania is in a risk for some flash flooding as well, so just be aware, Pennsylvania, you got a lot of risks that are expected to happen in eastern part of Pennsylvania, including this right here is the tornado risk east of Altoona, Pennsylvania area. So let's go ahead, go through that timing here. The model number, the time is up in Central Time, so just add an hour for folks in East Coast. And Grant Loves, I'll definitely get to Milwaukee. I will definitely get to Milwaukee. Just stick around here, folks. All right, so 3 o'clock is when we're expecting some major storms to hit the Pennsylvania area. And again, that could be that risk for areas of flash flooding into the West Virginia area and the Pennsylvania area. 3 o'clock this afternoon, and then later in the day, sometime around 5 p.m. or it'd be 6 p.m. East Coast time, that would end up impacting areas of Baltimore with some of those tornadic activity that is expected there. And again, possibility of some flooding. Let's go ahead and take a look at that flooding option here and see what that's expected to look like. Tufts weather. I expected I would get hit harder yesterday. I did get strong winds and heavy rain, but only for 10 minutes. The worst damage for me was a huge tree branch snapped by my house. Oof, I'm glad you're safe though, Tufts weather. That is Damage to homes and other property can be replaced, but lives, those definitely are not replaceable. Let's go ahead and take a look at that risk for the flooding. Here it is. So, like I said, areas Pittsburgh and then West Virginia, this is the flash flooding potential. This is a slight risk, 10 to 15. So, excessive rainfall outlook, that is expected to be pretty significant. The reason for that would be, I believe, 2 to 3 inches. Let me check here. 1 second. Um, Trying to see the information. A quick 1 to 2 inches with locally higher is forecasted over the above I-95 Megalopolis corridor, but the threat is not anticipated to be widespread, so that's why they do have that isolated area right here for that risk. Let's go ahead and luckily it was at this abandoned house beside me. Okay. Oh, Grant Loves, thank you. You're my favorite person on the weather, by the way. Oh, man, thank you, dude. I appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and go over to areas of Milwaukee real quick and kind of show you for today's risk. As you can see, there is less than a 2% risk for any type of severe weather in Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. It is a less than 2% risk for any tornado activity over in the Milwaukee area. Now, tomorrow that does shift a little bit. If my graphic will change, hopefully. There it is. Just taking a moment. So the risk for Wisconsin area gets a little bit more sketchy at this point. You got your first Galaxy. Way to go, Tufts Weather. All right, so here's the risks for tomorrow. Milwaukee, you're in the marginal risk. I would suspect, because of how quickly these storms are going to be progressing, I would suspect Milwaukee will likely end up being in the slight risk for severe weather tomorrow. And right now, Milwaukee for tomorrow is showing that you got in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you're showing that you're going to be outside of that tornado risk. But again, I would stay mindful and weather aware because I do suspect that this is probably going to get that green shaded area a little bit further down south into Milwaukee area. Let's go ahead and take a look at weather models here and show the timing. I will go to the NAM 3K for this, and the reason that I need to go to that is so that I can see tomorrow's risks. All right, so let's get the loop going here, and then I'm going to show you the significant tornado parameters here in a little bit for areas of northern South Dakota and pretty much all of North Dakota. And there are some possibilities for Minneapolis for some major storms for tomorrow. We'll have to take a look at the weather models and see what those show. Right now, I'm showing Grant Loves, my man, my main man here, some of the risks here for tomorrow for the Milwaukee area. As you can see, late, looks like about 10:45. You have some storms moving through the Milwaukee area. And then if we go a little bit further, really that doesn't ramp up too much. But NAM 3K has a little bit of a harder time, in my opinion, of showing the information that I'm suspecting to have happened. Because right now, as this shows, early in the morning, 9:30, you may have a conditional threat in Milwaukee if these storms linger around in the early morning and they are not able to have those storms reproduce in the afternoon. But look at that up in areas of northern Wisconsin. Thanks, Van. Yeah, you've had a lot of tornado warnings. All right, is there anything for us in Texas? I'm assuming. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Areas of Texas. Right here, folks. I don't see anything that suggests any impacts at all. We're looking at the SPC information for tomorrow. So let's go ahead and bring that back to day one. Unless you're in Huntsville, Houston, Lake Jackson, Rockport areas of Texas, we're not expecting anything other than non-severe thunderstorms for today. In areas of Texas, no risk for hail, no risk for wind for today. Tomorrow, again, much the same. General thunderstorms expected in eastern part of Texas. Flathead definitely different for concerns of North Carolina. Let's go ahead and get that up there. North Carolina, you have a marginal risk for flash flooding, so excessive rainfall. And let's go ahead and shut some of this information off. And we'll get to Minnesota and we'll get to those risks for tomorrow that I'm really, really interested about. So I need you to stick around and stay with us here. Lost my train of thought. That's what old age does to you, folks. Forecast. Okay, shutting that off. All right, so here is the risk for North Carolina. Let's go ahead and go through the NAM3K to show you that information as best as we possibly can. Timing on that is going to be critical. Sometime around noontime, we could start to see some line of thunderstorms. Again, some of these, even in areas of Atlanta, could end up having some risks there as well, as far as hail and some minimally severe weather. But the tornado risk is outside of your area in Atlanta, also outside of your area in South Carolina. But boom, there we go with areas of like Richmond, Virginia, and now Raleigh and those areas, you guys are outside of that risk for the tornado risk. However, just stay mindful because you do still have a hail risk and you do also have that wind risk that is pretty significant in areas of Raleigh, North Carolina, Hickory, Trinity, Charlotte, all of those areas. Again, the timing for some of these areas into the far western portion of North Carolina, we're looking at timing on this to be sometime after 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And then as it moves further over, we're starting to see a significant line. Here's that wind threat, big time wind threat as we get into 5 o'clock near Trinity and Charlotte. Again, that would be Eastern time or Central Daylight Time. So we want to add an hour onto that. And then we move this a little bit further along. And you can see right here in areas just east of Raleigh and Fayetteville, North Carolina area, kind of broken up storms, but we could still end up seeing some of those possibilities for a few brief spin ups, in my opinion. Even though right now SPC doesn't have Raleigh and Fayetteville into that tornado risk, I do believe that with the 11:30 update, they may end up stretching that a little bit farther south. That's my opinion. All right, and if we go a little bit further north here, boom, confetti. Thank you, Tufts Weather. Sorry. Austin Hoffer, Indiana, you will be okay today. Your risks for severe weather today for Indiana is general thunderstorms, nothing like what you have experienced over the last 24 hours. Yes, yes, it was beyond bad. Um, Yeah, Tufts Weather, I'm broke as well. And Tufts Weather, I appreciate you exchanging your Galaxy coins and using them on me. Renovo, PA. Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so Pennsylvania, you guys are under that risk for the probability of tornadoes. You owe Apple 20 bucks? Oh, goodness, dude, that's not good. Yeah, don't make yourself broke doing the weather stuff. Tufts Weather. And don't make yourself as broke as I am doing weather. What about Willard? Willard, PA, I'm assuming, Lillian? We got to get to Renovo first. Hang on. Renovo, PA, you guys are in the marginal risk, I believe. Let me verify here. 1 second. Renovo, PA, you're in the marginal risk, and I'm going to kind of zoom in here to Renovo as close as I can. I'm using two maps right now, so bear with me while I look at it in another spot here. Can tell I'm not familiar with PA at all. How does how do you get broke? How do you yeah, I definitely get broke because let's just say I have a lot of crazy medical bills to deal with. So Renovo, you're in PA, you're in the marginal risk. So stay weather aware. Yeah, giving those gifts certainly helps quite a bit. All right, so Willard, PA, and then we'll get to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, you guys are outside of the tornado risk for today, but stay weather aware because you are still in that risk for the flash flooding. And the timing on that is going to be sometime this afternoon into the evening hours. Yeah, I hope it gets better too. There's a lot of things that are in the works, including a major contract. But I can't go through a whole lot of those details just in case one of the companies is on here. Um, it's very hush hush, but if I get that contract, all modes of awesomeness are available for me. All right, so areas of Willard is up here, way up here, folks. Goodness. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that close, but let's look at the timing for Willard. PA, you have a few possibilities later this evening. Let's back it up a little bit with this NAM 3K here. It looks like sometime after 3 o'clock, although there's a cell right here. That's the cell that I would be concerned about over by Dewshore. That probably would have a brief spin up possibility. If not a brief spin up, could possibly failed to load SPC. What are you talking about? We got nothing failed to load. Tufts weather. What are you talking about? Oh, I got you. Yeah, SPC Outlook. Let me take a look here and see what that is. 1 second. It's probably having some difficulty with my processing at this point. Yeah, that's okay. I got too much stuff going on my computer right now. That's the issue. I need to make sure that I get a new gaming computer before October when Windows 11 goes crazy. There it is. Had to refresh it. All right, so there's the information down below. Southwest Marion County in Pennsylvania, I'm assuming. And then we got to get to the crazy stuff um, that is expected for tomorrow. Hey, Spider, welcome. Thanks for joining. Where are we going to go here? All right, let's go ahead. I'm having some loading issues, but let's go ahead and go over those risks here a little bit further. We do have this risk here, the enhanced risk, all the way into, and these are estimates, folks, with the NAM 3K. Oh, yeah, we all support each other, you know. We support Spider, we support Mesomat as much as we're able to. We support a number of other streamers as well. NC Storm Analyst. Uh, can't forget about NTX Weather. And that's the best way to do it, helping each other out, folks. All right, let's go ahead and bring up the risks for tomorrow. The reason why I want to bring that up is it is expected to be all kinds of crazy here for tomorrow for areas of Fargo. So I'm going to go through that right now. Let me bring up tomorrow's risks, and I don't usually when I go through these lives, I go over the risks for today, and I've gone through that a little bit here earlier. But the reason why I'm concerned for tomorrow in areas of North Dakota, let's bring that up here if I can get that 1 second here. There we go. So this is for tomorrow. What I'm looking at is significant tornado parameters. Now watch what happens when I click over by Fargo. We have a significant tornado parameter that is just completely sick, 8.9, and look what shows up. Now obviously this is a weather model and things could change. I'm not sure if you guys could see this, but if you can, or if you can't, that's a PDS possibility. Obviously, we can't predict this far ahead for a PDS, but it just goes to show you how significant these tornado potential is in areas of North Dakota tomorrow as you get into the afternoon hours, even northern part of South Dakota, and that's where I'm northern part of South Dakota and maybe southern part of North Dakota is where for tomorrow is where I'm expecting to do some storm chasing if my funds don't run out. Um, I'm going ballistic here, not being able to chase, and it's driving me bonkers. Now, I might not be able to go ahead and go live on TikTok for this because obviously there's some things that have to play out because sometimes when you go live during storm chasing, it's deemed as dangerous for TikTok viewers, and so we want to make sure that we have that ability to continue to make those lives, and I don't want to get banned. So again, these are some pretty crazy numbers. Let's take a look at the bulk shear for that same timing. Here it comes. Look at that. Bulk shear areas right here as well. 54 knots. There's plenty of shear to be available. Sort of major. Um, do I think an enhanced 10% could be added? Oh, for tornadic activity. Let me take a look here. Well, with these numbers, let's take a look at CAPE as well, or the instability. 1 second. Doesn't look too bad. Let me look at updraft helicity here. 1 second. All right, so folks, here's where I think, I get my drawer on here. This is the area of Minnesota that I would suspect there be a 10% possibility. I don't know about a 10%. I definitely think that there is the possibility to have have that 5% tornado risk maintain. But with those significant tornado parameters, it still leads me to believe there's possibility of a 10%. I'm not ruling it completely out for that, but if it's going to be 10%, I definitely got to figure out a way to make sure that I go live. Um, if I don't have the ability to go live on TikTok for tomorrow for live storm chasing, then definitely going to be on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're not following on those platforms, because we never know when TikTok is going to go bye-bye. Parameters for South Wisconsin, please. We can take a look at that. Yes, Grant Loves, we can take a look at that. I just got to get off of North Central and get a little bit closer to your guys' area here. So the significant tornado parameters, this is max updraft helicity. It doesn't really show a whole lot, whoops, for significant tornado parameters. But again, the HRRR or HER model, as it said, those go through updates regular basis here. I don't suspect, I don't see anything that suggests in the southeastern portion of Wisconsin to have that, but again, things could change. The weather has been so funky. Oh, Mesomat, I didn't even see you there. Thanks, dude. So again, we're gonna potentially have some crazy weather that we're dealing with in areas of North Dakota, and that's why I want to. That's why I'm hitting. Here's the significant tornado parameter information, com, throughout the U.S. As you can see, these shaded areas. That's where there's potential for that. Again, areas of southeast South Dakota is highly conditional to have any type of tornado activity um, for uh, for tomorrow. But again, I do believe that we're going to have major possibility of a major tornado outbreak in areas of North Dakota. Look at these numbers, folks. Again, 7, 6.8, 7. There's the 9. Look at that. That 9 is just sick. And if I put that, and again, that comes back as a PDS tornado. That doesn't mean that we're definitely going to get it, but I want to do a search with that geographic area just kind of to pinpoint for fun. Great Bend, North Dakota is where that is putting it up. So that would be in the extreme northeastern portion of South Dakota and into just south of Fargo, North Dakota area. So that's going to be sick, folks. Yes, it just means it, conditions possible for a PDS. Doesn't mean there's gonna be. Not trying to hype it up more than what I need to, but let's go back to the weather models and show you that information on the weather models here. Okay, this is looking at tomorrow's risk. Again, 5% that we have in the Fargo area, all the way back to Bismarck area. This includes Alexandria, Minnesota, Brainerd, Minnesota. Maryland, you guys are in a slight risk for some severe weather today. Or I'm sorry, you're in the enhanced risk area over by Baltimore, and I'll take a look at that here, Dalton, in just a moment. So again, we're looking at the risks for tomorrow. Going to see those ramp up a little bit. This model's having a little bit of a struggle, not going to lie, until you get into the late evening hours. So if things don't ramp up until late in the evening, that'll be a bust for me. Um, but lots of energy is there for a significant storms. If they don't ramp up until late in the evening, it's not going to be a chase that I want to go on. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at areas of Maryland. Maryland, for today, you guys are in the risk for the tornadoes. 2% risk. You also have of that risk with the enhanced risk there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the timing of that. Again, your storms expected to begin sometime in the afternoon hours, around 2 or 3 o'clock. And then you build that line of wind. That's another risk. So if you don't have a tornado, the probability for wind is pretty significant in the Baltimore area, New York area, all of those areas in the red. That is your wind risk for today. Outside of that, you got the yellow zone. That's down into areas of Virginia and North Carolina. You have significant wind risk as well. Again, the timing of this is later this afternoon if these storms ramp up. And I suspect that they will, and they'll build a line right along here and continue to track eastward. Again, areas of Pittsburgh and West Virginia, your risk for flash flooding is pretty significant as well. You have that slight risk or a 10 to 15% risk. And then the marginal risk is further eastward there. So there is possibility of flooding to go along with these storms as well. Just depends on how quickly they move through there. And as we go to the 21st, into the overnight hours, everything's cleared out of that area. All right, folks, that is the latest information that we have. Crystal HDZ. Your Aaron Racing. You wanted me to touch base on New York area. I could take a look at that here. Again, the timing for New York. Much of this is going to be in the afternoon, so sometime after 3 p.m. Grant Loves, thank you again so much for joining. Have fun with the lacrosse tournament. Man, I envy you. I could never do lacrosse, but I envy you. Western New York. Well, pretty much the whole state of New York is in that wind risk. And then the hail probability isn't near as significant as the wind probability. All right, I zoomed in as far as I can. You should be able to see for New York there. This is the timing, 4 p.m. This is in Central Daylight Time. I can't get to Hazleton. I don't know where it is. Maybe New Jersey. All right, so here we go. Timing there is showing some storms around 4 o'clock near Star Lake. All right, if you guys are over in this area of New York, again, timing looks like afternoon. Sorry, man, I'm not able to go to your specific area, but it looks like we've got it now. So again, timing there. Michigan did not get hit as much as they said. That's great news. I'm glad Michigan did not. Most of those storms, by the time they got through Illinois and Indiana, um, it was pretty much dying out. Your Aaron Racing, well, welcome, Wilson, New York area. Let's go. Breezewood. Could you tell me Breezewood for Rich? Breezewood, where is that exactly? Is that in PA? You guys are in the slight risk for today for severe weather. Your tornado risk, you are in a 2% risk for that tornado potential as well. We go down to some of these areas of Pennsylvania and show you the timing here for Pennsylvania. 1 second, and then I've got to get you guys going here. Again, areas of Pittsburgh and areas of West Virginia have the risk for some flooding continuing as well. So I don't want to discount the flooding. Salisbury, oh, Salisbury, Sales. All right, 1 second. Georgetown. Okay, there we go. Salisbury. There we go. You guys are in that risk of wind and tornado threat. So let's go ahead and pull that back here. It looks like the timing on that is expected to be sometime after 5 p.m. and likely going to be a significant wind threat for you, although I can't rule out those tornadoes being embedded in there. So again, that is for Salisbury, Maryland. The threat for tornadoes is really low. I don't want to discount that, but it's 2% in eastern part of the U.S. Jay Diesel, how does Minneapolis look? Well, Minneapolis is looking fine at this point, but tomorrow, let's see here. Tomorrow, you guys do have a 2% risk for tornadoes in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So stay weather aware. And then just to the north of Minneapolis area, there are some risks. The north and west of Minneapolis, Minnesota area, there is that 5% risk for severe weather or for tornadoes. Southern Wisconsin, you guys are expected to be okay today. General thunderstorms is expected for today. Um, Marginal risk is what they have, but I could go for Wisconsin area. Let me go back to Wisconsin area a little bit and show you the timing on Wisconsin here. Again, your guys' risk is likely going to be happening in the overnight hours, late tonight and overnight hours in Wisconsin area. So that could change quite a bit considering the heat of the day. Just need the music. East Tennessee, you're in a marginal risk in East Tennessee unless you're over by Johnson City today. Johnson City, Tennessee, you're in the slight risk for severe weather. What that means is it's a 2 out of 5 risk day for Johnson City, Tennessee. Mike Hirschfield, thank you. I appreciate doing this. Sometimes it gets overwhelming because there's so many questions in here. I need more people to help me out, but I can't pay them. You know, and filtering through all the folks um, that don't have the weather knowledge but say they do. That is the tough part. Uh, Lafayette, Mississippi, and Huntsville, Alabama. So you guys for the risks, let's go ahead and zoom back out and show you guys all the risks for today. Again, this is the tornado risk all up into areas of the extreme northeast part of the U.S. Tornado risk is in green. That's a low risk, but it's still a risk nonetheless. Probability for hail for today, it's highly conditional in these areas, okay? Highly conditional in these areas for that hail risk. So just be mindful of that. We see more of a risk for tomorrow in those areas. And then the wind threat. That is most significant over in areas of Richmond, Virginia, all the way up into areas of New York, and even as far north as Maine. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. All right. So let's go ahead and verify here in areas of Alabama as well as Mississippi. Again, these are the wind probabilities, but the categorical look, we don't see anything expected significant in areas of Mississippi today. I'll show you some of this. One second. This is a 4 a.m. look, so I want to go back to HRRR and show you a better idea of what is expected. HRRR, let's see here. We got a update here. One second. New Jersey is in that risk for tornadoes, so I guess I'm not sure how you spell trouble, but you're in New Jersey. You're in that risk for tornadoes today, 2% risk. So just stay weather aware. Again, most of the stuff on the East Coast line is going to be happening later this afternoon, sometime after 2 o'clock. Uh, Continue to stay weather aware in those areas. All right, as you can see, HRRR does a little bit better of a job picking up on some of these storms here. And that's why I typically utilize that because it goes through an update a lot faster here. Huntsville, Alabama area looks like around 10 a.m. could have some storms brewing in that area. Let me take a look and see if there's anything that supports that. Yeah, it looks like right now you don't have anything. You do have some flooding that's going on up in Florence area. Mississippi area, you got a few training thunderstorms right now over by the west of the Tupelo area. And then what I mean by training thunderstorms is these are wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Artesia around 835, and it looks like Crawford around 850. So basically, that's been allowed to expire. Let's go ahead and take a look at Mississippi, Yazoo City, some marginal risk. There could be some nickel size hail in some of these storms sometime around 3 o'clock this afternoon. But again, the major threat is much further northeast. Areas of Tennessee, we're looking at that right here. And if you can find your area of Tennessee, kind of the general areas here, that would be best. And I apologize, for some reason the graphics has not got the roads on here and I don't know why. All right, so you'd already had some things move through there in Nashville area. You're expecting some more general thunderstorms, non-severe like south of Nashville sometime late this evening after 6 o'clock. And then we'll have some more storms try to spit through the eastern part of Tennessee. That'll be late into the evening hours. But again, this doesn't look too significant for the most part. Let me go over to areas of, it looks like most of these storms are already going to be pushing further to the south. Martin, Hennessy, Tennessee. Okay, 1 second here, Martin. All right, Martin, Tennessee. That is north of Jackson, so over by Union City and I-69 area. Let's take a look at that here 1 second. You guys are in the general thunderstorms for today. Non-severe thunderstorms are expected in Martin, Tennessee area. Indiana is good today. You guys don't have anything to worry about as far as severe weather goes for today. And then for tomorrow, let's go back over those risks for tomorrow. 1 second, folks. All right, here's some risks yet for today. Again, do want to go over some of this information to kind of show you what's expected. These storms up in the Fargo area and Minnesota area are expected to be highly conditional. We may not even get anything, but could have some storms happen in the overnight hours as it suggests. And if that's the case, depending on how late those storms start, we could end up having a put a kibosh on some of that risk uh, for for tomorrow's outbreak. So we'll have to see how that plays out, and that's what we got for tomorrow's risks. That is all that I have at this point. I appreciate you guys joining, and please be sure to subscribe on the TikTok channel. It does help financially. We would love bringing this information to you free, but helping out with the software, we've got number of different softwares that we utilize, plus my time, which I appreciate being able to give this information to you. So I appreciate any kind of gifts and follows that you can do to help with the algorithms through TikTok, Facebook, as well as YouTube. I will be doing my best to go live tomorrow for In the Field Chasing. It all depends on what happens with these risks for tomorrow. Unfortunately, I will not be able to typically ever go to the east coast side of the U.S. for storm chasing. I live in South Dakota, and just to make that trip, my finances are not in a position like a number of these other chasers that have major sponsors. So I appreciate you supporting the little man here, and